Waldo Politics is now live. Streaming just chatting, Degenerate great art? Trump is an art critic now? Hop into chat to tell me what you are thinking. Drop a link into the Discord if you want to talk about something specific. Fully expected Knuch to say !Discord XD. She is silly sometimes.
Oh, hi. Hello. How you doing? My name is Waldo, and I'm here to feel the politics with you. How's everybody doing today? I am doing great. Thank you. It is nice and cloudy out there, just the way I like it. None of that grotesque day star coming in, burning my skin and giving me cancer. No, 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 no. None of that. It's nice and cloudy. Just perfect. So, how's it going? Did anything crazy happen? Oh, well, something crazy happens every day? Yeah, I know.
Ew. Light blue has one disgust.
Exactly. Disgusting. That grotesque day star shining light down on everything. It's gross. I agree. I hate it. That's why I live up in the Pacific Northwest where I live. So it's cloudy most of the time. I like it. So yeah, I don't see any puppy dogs at the moment, but if they come by, I will grab them and we'll have a little puppy dog break. But I try not to harass them and drag them up here if they're not already up here. And then they want to play. You know, it's not a good time. And then I have to like stop the stream to play with the doggies. It's a thing. So if any of them swing by, I'll grab them up. But I'm not sure. So anyway, yeah, hop in the chat. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling. Go on over to this Discord right here if you've got specific links to.
That's good. 3. Respect your pet's boundaries.
Yeah,
Chat.
exactly. I don't own them. You know, I kind of own them, but not really. I try not to own them. You know, don't drag them up here if they're comfy doing something else. Don't harass them. But yeah, hop in the chat. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling. Go on to the Discord right there. Leave links to stories if you want to talk about them. I think today, what do we got today? Today is Saturday, so I've got a couple of links and a little bit of a rant set up. Donald Trump, the art critic, is, we're going to look at some of that art that he has called, he didn't use the word degenerate, but I am. He used the word, he used a different D word, but it's very close. Divisive. We'll look at his executive order and look at all this degenerate art that he's very upset about. Then, what else? Elon, of course. We have to talk about Elon because he's probably doing crimes in Wisconsin, so that's okay. I mean, not like we can do anything about it. Don't stop the man from doing any crimes, but we'll talk about that. And then he's got an interview on Fox yesterday with the entire Doge team. It's not the entire Doge team. It's just the people who work for him that can put on business suits and pretend to be decent people for 10 minutes. And we'll watch that towards the end of the stream. So,
oh, Elon talk? I'm out then.
I know, he's going to talk. It is awful.
Of course, Blue has one giggle.
No, I don't blame you. He is hard to listen to. But yeah, it's a few minutes of a video of him on the Fox News, and we'll see what they're thinking, see what they're feeling, and then we'll argue with them. It's almost a debate. They say a thing, and I tell you why that thing is horse shit or a lie, or just plain old wrong. So that'll be our plan for today. And if we run out of stuff to talk about, we'll play a Castlevania game and have a good time. So that is the plan. let's see what else we want to put in. The YouTube link is right there. Go on over to the YouTube if you want to watch old videos. I turn all these streams into compressed little videos, and the latest one is doing pretty well. I got quite a few subs off of that. I'm up to like 260 something subs on the YouTube channel. It's very exciting. At this pace, I'll be monetized on YouTube within like 9 years. I mean, 2034 is going to be my year. 2034. Going to be all about Waldo.
Blue has won money. XD.
It's going to be really good for me. I can't wait. So what am I doing? I'm going to open the volume mixer and then turn off the Lady Canooch. Sorry, but she's turned off. And then we'll make some YouTube videos. We'll talk. We'll feel some things. So let's hop into the first thing to talk about today. We're going to turn the webcam. Well, no, we're going to turn the game capture off and the window capture on. Window capture on. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. Where are you? Screen. Let's look at the screen. I know you are there. There we are. All right. So Elon Musk on Sunday night said, I will give a talk in Wisconsin. Entrance is limited to those who have voted in the Supreme Court election. I will also personally hand over 2 checks for $1 million each in an appreciation for you taking the time to vote. This is super important. AstroCells asks the AI grok, isn't this election fraud? And the AI says yes. Elon Musk's 1 million checks for voting in Wisconsin Supreme Court election likely violate Wisconsin's law, which bans offering value to induce or reward voting. The Wisconsin Elections Commission confirms incentives over $1 are illegal. Though aimed at boosting participation, this could be seen as election bribery. Of course it is. Elon is paying people to vote, and he is telling them how they ought to vote. It is illegal. Even Grok knows it. Do we think anything will happen? It was last night. Oh, actually, it's tomorrow night. Do we think anything's going to happen? I don't think they will. I don't think anything will come of this because the judiciary is half conservative, which means they get to do whatever they want whenever they feel like it in any way that they decide. He's promising to pay them to vote. Yeah, exactly. That ought to be illegal. You shouldn't be able to pay people to vote. You shouldn't be paying people to influence them to vote a certain way. He tries to be wishy-washy with his language and say, I'm not paying people to vote. I'm paying them to show up at this rally and then telling them how they ought to be voting. I'm not forcing them to vote. I'm not paying them to do a certain thing. It ought to be illegal. He's just jumping through. He's putting one fake hurdle in front of it and saying, nah, man, nobody can get past that. Nobody's being coerced here. He needs to be arrested Sunday night. That's what needs to happen. The state police of Wisconsin need to roll up in there and arrest him, put him in handcuffs for breaking the law. I doubt that's going to happen. It ought to. It should happen. If he's telling you ahead of time that he's going to break the law and he's going to do it and it's coming and he's going to break a law on Sunday night and then he does it on Sunday night, the police should be there to arrest him. Sounds like bribery with extra steps. It sure does. That is exactly bribery with extra steps. Break the law, I'll break your jaw. Well, the police, I don't want to violently attack him, but if he doesn't come along peacefully, then that's what the police do. Problem, the police are on his side. Unhappy with that. I wish the police were on the side of justice and the law, but they're not. They're on the side of control over the people. Might be a running theme of today's stream, control. I sure wish the police controlled Elon. He is running amok right now. He is breaking the law. He is paying people to vote. He's trying to illegally sway an election for a judge in a state. That shit should be illegal. But nothing's illegal if you can just buy your way out of it. If you can buy judges, if you can buy senators, if you can buy the presidency, nothing is illegal unless you want it to be illegal. Writing op-eds for your college newspaper, that's illegal. Paying $1 million so somebody votes for a judge, that's fine. That's great. That's just conservatism in action. Horseshit is what I call it. Illegal is what I would call it. Let's look at the actual news. Let's see. Wisconsin takes legal action against Elon Musk over election cash offering. They're not arresting him. They're just doing some judge stuff. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul announced Friday that the state is taking legal action against Elon Musk for the billionaire's offer in a since deleted post. So he deleted it because this that you're looking at is probably illegal. Post to pay voters for casting ballots in the Supreme Court race. Let's see. He said, based on understanding of the applicable Wisconsin law, we intend to take legal action today and seek a court order to stop this from happening. So they're going to do a court order from stopping it from happening. That won't work. Elon ignores court orders because he can simply pay the fines, or he can pay to get away with it, or he can fly to Belize. He can just avoid the law because he is so rich and powerful. We shouldn't have any billionaires because then they can just buy politicians, buy judges, buy elections. This is why you shouldn't have them. Shouldn't allow them to exist. The State Department of Justice is committed to ensuring that elections in Wisconsin are secure, safe, free, and fair. They won't be. I mean, you're going to sue him afterward, and he's just going to run away, and nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to stop him. Physically, literally, put him in handcuffs so it can't happen. This will, it might not even completely work, but it will put some brakes on him. It will put some stoppage to him. It will put some hurdles in front of him. Put some damn legal hurdles in front of the fascists, please. Please, please. Put some actual consequences in front of the fascists. That would be nice. I would enjoy that. They slowed down a little bit. Let's see. Friday. Let's see. The April 1st election in Wisconsin will determine the tilt of the ideologically divided bench in a swing state where the state-level decisions carry national implications for abortion rights, legislative redistricting, and election laws. So those are the things that are on the table. Abortion rights will be lessened, will be lowered, will be removed if the conservative wins. Legislative redistricting, that's about gerrymandering. Gerrymandering will get worse if the conservative wins. And election laws, the cockamamie, insane horseshit that Donald Trump puts together when he tries to steal the next election in the midterm and the election after that, where he will run again, will be challenged. And if a conservative is on this court, they will allow him to break the election laws. That's all there is to it. Put conservatives on the court, up and down, as many as you can, and then they will allow Donald Trump to break the law. It's simple. That is where we are right now. Two Musk-backed groups, America PAC and Building America's Future, have combined to spend nearly $20 million to support Brad Schimmel, the Republican candidate for the Wisconsin court seat. The Democratic candidate, Susan Crawford, has drawn millions in donations from progressive donors, including George Soros and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. So this is the most expensive judge race ever, and I'm worried that the side with the most money is the side that's going to win. And that's the problem. Like, yes, is Pritzker and Soros donating to the left? Yeah, but they follow rules. They follow laws. They're not giving $1 million away to the voters. They're doing old politics where you try to get people to vote. You send them things in the mail explaining why it's important. Trying TV commercials, radio spots, Facebook ads. That's what they're doing with their money. Elon's just giving it to voters. There's a difference between those two effects, between those two methods. And I'm worried that this is now just the way politics will work from now on, at least for the next few years. George Soros and J.B. Pritzker might get on board with that. I'm not happy with that either. I don't want those two giving money to voters to vote for progressive ideas. I don't. I want all the money out of politics, but that's not going to happen if Elon keeps winning by using money. If money is the way to win, people will use the money. It's not a good plan. Do you see that? There's a little ragamuffin down here. A little mop. Come here, mop. There he is, little ragamuffin. I'm going to grab him, and we'll have a little Bobo break. Hello. Hi. This is Ragamuffin Bobo. He is very shaggy. He is very hairy, but we're trying to let him be shaggy. It might be fun. Say hi to the people, Bobo. He's Bobo the baby bark boy. I hear the other one skulking around somewhere. I might grab him if he comes up here. Yeah, he really is the star of the show. I agree. And if you want to see more of him, you can go on over to the Discord and see an entire channel filled with his pictures. There's the Discord. There's an entire channel there marked Bobo the Baby Bark Boy. You go on over there, look at his photos, and I add photos to it sometimes whenever I get some good ones. And he's gone. He just wanted to stop by and say hi. Okay, cool. So, yeah, that is the Elon news. There's some more. We'll watch his video here in just a few minutes. But I wanted to get to the other horrible shit today, which is... Oh, actually, no, we're not done with Elon. Let's look at this story right here. Wisconsin Attorney General sues to block Elon's $2 million election giveaway, but, so that seems like a good idea. We sued to stop it, but latest news is Wisconsin judge won't stop Elon Musk's $1 million payments to voters. Attorney General appeals. A Wisconsin judge on Saturday, that's today, declined to stop billionaire Elon Musk from handing over $1 million checks to two voters in the state at a planned rally days before the closely contested Supreme Court election. The state attorney general, who argues that the offer violates the law, immediately appealed after the judge refused to hear the request for an emergency injunction to block the payments. So, this sucks. We are using the law, and the law says, nah, it's fine. I'm going to tell you, I think that this law is incorrect, and I'm willing to bet this judge is a conservative Republican type. They don't actually care about what's right or what's good or what's correct or what's good or bad for society. They just want more power for their team. That is it. And they call themselves originalists. They will ignore the law to give their team more power. They will ignore the rules to give their team more power. They will pay to give their team more power. That's it. Because they think that they are correct and right and just and good for society. They're not. And that doesn't lead to freedom. It leads to authoritarianism. If the judges all decide that they are brilliant and geniuses and they are allowing everybody to buy elections, I don't like that. That sounds like a bad plan. Doesn't seem very democratic to me. And the only way to argue with them is to pass new laws. Who passes the laws? The Senate. What is the Senate interested in? Money. That's right. They don't give a shit about you or the things that you care about. They don't give a shit about your causes or your plans or whichever social issue is most important to you. They give a shit about money. How much are you giving them? Trans people don't have a whole lot of money generally, so they don't give a whole lot. Companies give a lot more, so that's what's important. Elon Musk is giving the most money to politicians, so he has the most influence. He has the most power. He has the most authority because he has the most money and is willing to give it to people. It wouldn't surprise me if some of those centrist Dems like Chuck Schumer or Amy Klobuchar are antsy for that money, baby. They are thirsty for that Elon dosh. They need all that Elon money. You know how much money that guy's throwing around? God, can I get some of that? Is what they're thinking. They don't care about you. They don't care about your ethics or your cause or whatever law you want passed to protect you. They don't care about your constitution. They care about their money. And that's why I'm upset with them. That's why I made that video not too long ago on YouTube that was calling for a split and predicting a split. I do suspect that there is a split coming. I think the MAGA faithful, and I don't use that term flippantly. They are faithful to Donald Trump. We can discuss that later. But the MAGA faithful, I think, will crumble. They will have fewer people. They will get less power, less authority as the country collapses, and it's about to collapse. We're inches away from it, where it's happening very soon, within the next year or two. They will have very few people who continue to just be MAGA faithful. The Dems are moving to the right, which is I talked about in my last video on YouTube. Going over to YouTube to see that. There's the YouTube link. Then the Dems move to the right a little bit. Your Amy Klobuchar's, your Chuck Schumer's, your Gavin Newsom's, they move to the right to collect all the people who are paying attention now to the politics, saying, hey, when those normies in the middle who just want to grill, who don't care about the politics, they watch The Masked Singer on Tuesday nights, and then they watch football, and then they go to bed, and then they go to work, and then they raise their kids. They don't have time for politics. But when shit really hits the fan, they notice. And what Gavin Newsom wants to do is be there when they notice shit's going wrong. He wants to step in and say, hey, shit's gone wrong. It's Trump. Vote for me. I'm in the center. I will represent you, just like you are in the center. Without a political home, come to me. Come visit me. Then him and Schumer have like a uniparty in the center with a crumbling, insane people on the right, and then a base somewhat on the left with Bernie and AOC. And the rightward shift of the Democrats continues. They gobble up some of the MAGA faithful, but not all of them. They become a splinter party, and we will get one big party in the center right, a fringe on the right, and a small party on the left. That's what I suspect will happen over the next, this might take a decade. This might take a while, assuming we have a country left and Donnie doesn't kill us all. But yeah, over the next, this is a long-term prediction that I'm making. I'm not happy about it. I'm just telling you what I think would happen if they continue to move to the right. And they are moving to the right. They just keep doing it. Let's see. What else have we got to talk about? Elon gets away with buying the things. And why is it important? Let's look at this one. The Wisconsin Supreme Court race is a litmus test for Elon Musk's political power. The high-stakes race will determine which party will control a court that will rule on abortion and voting rights. And so that's important, as those things become very important in the midterm and over the next presidential election, where Donald Trump might be running again, or he will be choosing who runs and then campaigning for them. So he is not going to fall out of favor with his faithful. He might fall out of favor with the uniparty who beats him, maybe, but he's not going to fall out of favor with his faithful followers. So they are going to look to him for guidance on what the next presidential election will be like. Either he tries to run again for a third party, makes up some shit, tries to change the Constitution, and you know who's going to stop him if he tries to do any of that? Judges are going to try to stop him. And if these judges are on his side, they will do whatever they can to benefit him. They will bend the law. They will ignore the law. They will break the law to help him get to what he wants. This is why the judges are important. The Federalist Society figured this out back in the fucking 80s. That's why they've been pushing conservative judges and fighting to get more and more conservative people in positions of judgeship so that they can own everything. You need the judges on your side to do a fascist takeover, and half the judges in this damn country are on the fascist side. And they will allow whatever horseshit, cockamamie, made-up imagination that Donald Trump and his lawyers come up with that allow him to run for a third party, or a third time, for a third term. They'll simply allow it. And then you won't have an argument anymore. We don't get to say that's illegal because the judges have all said it's legal, it's fine, it's okay. At which point we would have to have the legislature or the people stop that. But that's going to go away sometime soon as well, I think. They don't like that because we've got a couple of executive orders to read here in just a few minutes. Let's roll right into that since I've almost started it up. What is this? We've got some executive orders to talk about. This one being making the District of Columbia safe and beautiful. Speaking of the people and stuff like that, I want to close this window because I think it's letting in too much light. I'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. I don't think that made a difference, but maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. Let's read this horrible executive order. Making the District of Columbia safe and beautiful. Sounds great, doesn't it? As the federal capital city, Washington, D.C. is the only city that belongs to all Americans and that all Americans can claim as theirs. As the capital city of the greatest nation in the history of the world, it should showcase beautiful, clean, and safe public spaces. America's capital must be the place in which residents, commuters, and tourists feel safe at all hours, including on public transit. Its highways, boulevards, and parks should be clean, well-kept, and pleasant. Its monuments, museums, and buildings should reflect and inspire awe and appreciation for the nation's strength, greatness, and heritage. Sounds like a fucking Hitler speech, if you ask me. Our citizens deserve nothing less. Our nation's strength, greatness, and heritage. Yeah, I mean, if I spoke German, I would scream that in German, and you would be like, oh, yeah, I hear it. It is the policy of the United States to make the District of Columbia safe, beautiful, and prosperous by preventing crime, punishing criminals, preserving order, protecting our revered American monuments, and promoting beautification of the preservation of the history and heritage. Because that's what's important, the heritage. Most of this is blah, 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 blah. This is the people who will be involved. Interior, transport, Homeland Security, FBI, Marshals, ATF, Attorney Office. Why are all these people going to be involved in making the city better? Well, you'll see here in just a sec. We'll get down to it. The task force may, to the extent permitted by law, request operational assistance from and coordinate with the Metro Police Department. Okay, so some police states. The task force shall coordinate to ensure the federal participation in the following tasks. Very fun. This is the important one right here. Yes, the past is the important. Yeah, exactly. We got to keep that heritage going, you know. I wonder what he means by heritage. I wonder what the fascist means when he says heritage. This is the important one. Deploying a more robust federal law enforcement presence and coordinating with local law enforcement to facilitate the deployment of more robust law enforcement presence as appropriate in areas in and about the District of Columbia, including the National Mall, parks, museums, monuments, Lafayette Park, Union Station, Rock Creek Park, Anacostia Park, George Washington Memorial Parkway, the Suitland Parkway, Baltimore Parkway, whatever. Ensuring that all applicable quality of life, nuisance, and public safety laws are strictly enforced, such as those prohibiting assault, battery, larceny, graffiti, and other vandalism. Unpermitted disturbances, and demonstrations, noise, trespassing, public intoxication, drug use, sale, and traffic violations. This is the this is the anti-protest bill of 2025. That's exactly what this is. Anti-protest. What's that? You're making noise? Go to jail for federal crimes. You don't, you blocked a car from passing down the street? Go to jail for public crimes. No More Protests Act of 2025. Well, actually, let me change that. Let me restate that. No More Democrat Protests Act of 2025. Because the Proud Boys and the MAGA faithful will be allowed to protest. They have the First Amendment rights that you won't. That's always been the plan of the MAGA faithful. They are the true citizens of America, getting the rights and protections from the Constitution and any other rights and protections that they imagine that the Constitution affords them, you won't get. If you disagree with them, if you disagree with Trump, if on any subject, you are the enemy of the state and the Constitution no longer protects you. This is the end goal of American conservatism. This is the purpose of the MAGA faithful. And I call them that. That is my favorite term for them. Everybody has a clever term, maggots or trumpets or something along those lines. But MAGA faithful, I think, is important because we call them faithful, because they don't care about the facts. They don't care about the laws, the rules, the actual reality. Faith is what they have. They have faith in Donald Trump. And if you prove to them that he has lied, they ignore it because they have faith. If you prove that he has said a thing that isn't true, that he has done something to harm them specifically, you can show them hard evidence. They will gloss over it. They are blind to that evidence. And if you're blind to the evidence, it's because you are faithful. The MAGA faithful will be willingly, intentionally blind if it helps Donald Trump. They will ignore the fact that Democrats aren't allowed to protest anymore, as long as they are allowed to protest. The Proud Boys can block all the traffic and literally do a Jan 6 and break stuff, destroy the place, trash everything, do some violence, and that's acceptable to the conservatives because they'll be blind to it. They won't even see that problem. But if a leftist does a peaceful protest, that's a fucking crime. They do not care about what's real. They do not care about what is true. They are faithful and nothing else. It's the most important part about being part of MAGA, faith in Donald Trump. Ignore the facts, ignore the reality, ignore the law, ignore what anybody else says. Have faith. You want a Nazi rally? Feel free. Yeah. First Amendment. Woo. Pride parade. As long as the children don't say, yeah, exactly. They will pick and choose based on vibes and feelings about which of these rallies is allowed. The rally that is put on by the right wing and pushes right wing agenda, that's fine. That's healthy. That's covered by the First Amendment. But the Pride parade? Nope, not allowed. That is not acceptable. That is not pushing the MAGA agenda, which means it is not allowed. And they will call it free speech. That's what kills me the most. They will call this free speech. Because they do not know that they are fascists. That's the problem, I think, is that most of them don't know that you're allowed to disagree with things. They're not even sure that it's happened. So let's see. What does this also lead to? That's the that's how I'm stringing these things together. Elon Musk is paying to have judges. The judges will say that certain protests are illegal and certain protests are allowed. The judges that he buys and pays for, and the senators that Elon buys, and the president that he has bought will defend their ideology and harm the ideology of the people they don't like. And then that leads into the other executive order that I've promised today, and it's about degenerate art, faith-based evidence versus evidence-based faith. Yeah, it's complicated. The conservatives do have faith-based evidence and evidence-based faith. Yeah, they switch back and forth between those anytime they feel like. If the court agrees with them, then it's the law. If the court disagrees with them, it's a Marxist judge, activist, wild, crazy activist judge who needs to be impeached. And they don't see the flaw in this idea. They don't see the flaw in this ideology. They don't see the hypocrisy there. They're blind to their own hypocrisy. They don't mind. If a judge agrees with Trump, that's the law, and it needs to be respected. If a judge disagrees with Trump, then he's a terrible nightmare Marxist who needs to be removed from power and impeached. Conservatives will say this sentence to you with a straight face because they're blind. So I'm going to turn that into a short. Thanks for being a part of the YouTube shorts, everybody. What is next? Oh, next is the degenerate art. So we're gonna go over to this one right here. We're gonna go right here. Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. Over the past decade, Americans have witnessed a concerted and widespread effort to rewrite the nation's history. I agree so far, but it's been done by Donald Trump, replacing objective facts with a distorted narrative driven by ideology rather than truth. You know what? Hey, maybe they're talking sense. I kind of agree here so far. I mean, Trump saying that Hillary got 4 million illegal votes was based on ideology, not facts. Trump saying that he won in 2020 was based on ideology and not facts. The people being rounded up by the secret Gestapo police right now and being deported without a trial are literally based on the ideology that they hold, not based on facts. So maybe they're going somewhere with this, or I doubt that that's the direction Trump is going to take this. So let's keep reading. The revisionist movement seeks to undermine the remarkable achievements of the United States by casting its founding principles and historical milestones in a negative light. Under the historical revision, our nation's unparalleled legacy of advancing liberty, individual rights, and human happiness is reconstructed as inherently racist, sexist, and oppressive, and otherwise irredeemably flawed. If you see the past was bad and we're better today, an intelligent person would say, hey, we made progress. We did better things. But they cannot allow the idea that the past wasn't perfect because they are backward-facing ideology. Conservatism is a backward-facing ideology. They look to the past. And if you point out a flaw that happened in the past, they will call you names. They will fight you. Rather than fostering unity and deeper understanding of our shared past, a widespread effort to rewrite history deepens societal divides and fosters a sense of national shame. You should be ashamed of the failures of the past. Do better in the future. That is a forward-facing ideology. But they don't want to face forward. They want to face backward, disregarding the progress America has made and the ideals that continue to inspire millions around the globe. The prior administration advanced this corrosive ideology. No, it's just forward-facing. If you face forward, conservatives hate you. At Independence National Historical Park in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where our nation declared that all men are created equal. Okay, so he's using the good things wrong. All men are created equal. But listen, Donnie, conservatives, listen. If all men are created equal, and you believe that, but then some of them, the ones with the dark skin, say, hey, we aren't being treated equally. Do something about it. That leads to DEI. DEI is an attempt to make the people who are underrepresented, oppressed, and not being treated equally brought up to equality. But they hate it. They hate it with an unmatched passion. They do not want DEI. Conservatives hate it so much because it proves that things weren't perfect in the past. Their backward-facing ideology wasn't perfect. And that is the point of conservatism. Go backward. Look backward. See the perfection that was in the past. Attempt to achieve it today. Backward-facing ideology. Hates DEI. Let's keep reading. The prior administration sponsored training by an organization that advocates dismantling Western foundations and interrogating institutional racism so that we can be better. Why would you want to not change, but understand the foundation so that you can make it better? You build off of a foundation. You build upward, forward thinking in the future. You build on top of the foundation, and you can't build on top of that foundation if you are ignoring what it is, if you are denying the reality of that foundation. Interrogating institutional racism is a good thing. If the institution is treating people differently based on their skin tone, you need to recognize it, understand how and why it happened, and then move forward. Conservatives don't want to interrogate that thing. They want to claim it never existed. And pressured national historical park rangers that their racial identity should dictate how they convey history to visiting Americans because America is purportedly racist. It is. Once widely respected as a symbol of American excellence and global icon of cultural achievement, the Smithsonian Institution has, in recent years, come under the influence of a divisive, race-centered ideology. So he's saying divisive instead of degenerate, but it's degenerate, according to him. They would push to use the word degenerate. Yeah, I think it's about to happen. I don't know that they'll use the word because it is so highly tied to Nazis, so they'll use divisive, DEI, or race-centered ideology, rather than degenerate, but it means the same thing. This shift has promoted narratives that portray American and Western values as inherently harmful and oppressive. No, it says that we were harmful and oppressive, and we have gotten better. Look how far we've come since those days. Isn't it better? Continue moving forward. Continue being better. The American Art Museum today features The Shape of Power, Stories of Race in American Sculpture, an exhibit representing that societies, including the United States, have used race to establish and maintain systems of power. Bro, they literally have. He doesn't want this to be true. Conservatives do not want this true statement to exist. Societies, including the United States, have used race to establish and maintain systems of power, privilege, and disenfranchisement. That is a literal fact. And they hate it because it makes them feel bad. Conservatives do not want this literal fact to be explained to anyone because it makes them feel bad. All politics are based on feelings. The exhibit further claims that sculpture has been a powerful tool in promoting scientific racism and promotes the view that race is not a biological reality but a social construct, stating race is a human invention. Well, race is a human invention. Ethnicities can kind of exist, and it's a complicated subject that needs intelligent conversation, not silence, not shutting everything down and saying that never happened. The National Museum of African American History and Culture has proclaimed that hard work, individualism, and the nuclear family are aspects of white culture. They are. This is literal this is a fact. Hard work, individualism, and the nuclear family are aspects of white culture. Yes, they are. Bro, that's a fucking fact. Why do you hate facts so much, Donnie? The forthcoming Smithsonian American Women's History Museum plans to celebrate the exploits of male athletes participating in women's sports because, of course, they had to insult trans people because they hate them. They hate them, they hate them, they hate them. And so they have to find them everywhere they are and shit on them. This is leading to Donald Trump and the Vice President, Jan Stans Vance, that's his full name, determining what is allowed within our art, what is acceptable. And this pisses me off. I hate this. This is awful, and I don't want them to be in charge of what is and isn't art. The Nazi Party was all about calling shit degenerate. Yeah. Did we blow our... hang on. Did we blow our impeachment load too early on the point that it would look petulant? It was trying out. No, I think we should bring up more articles of impeachment every day, Sewells. Every week, another article of impeachment, and add to the list. Make it a heaping pile. Push impeachment articles of impeachment today about the things that he has done wrong today. Then, when he does something else next week, add it to the list. And we'll have a list a mile long of all the things he's done wrong. Can't even write a thing concerning other stuff without drowning in a dig against the gays. Yeah, exactly. They can't do anything without hating on some sort of minority. It's their entire modus operandi. Find a person you don't like, point at them, scream about how they're ruining society. So, what was I ranting about? Yeah, this is Nazi shit that Donald Trump is doing. Degenerate art. The Nazi comparisons get easier every day, don't they, guys? Love of the state is what this is about. For fascists like Donald Trump and his followers, the only reason for art to be produced at all is for propagandistic reasons, furthering their goals, their agendas, their ideology. If the art is not somehow glorifying the fascists, it is degenerate. If the art makes you feel any emotion other than pride for the fatherland, it is degenerate. If the art challenges any of the hierarchies that the fascists are propping up, it is degenerate. Let's look at the actual art. Let's find this horrible nightmare degenerate art that he is just trying to get rid of. Let's see if we can put it on the screen. There we go. Shape of Power, Stories of American Race and Sculpture. So there's a sculpture. It's got some African influence and stuff like that. And then that has to go. That has got to go. Conservatives hate this. Because how is this making America great? You know? In their minds, this isn't making America great. This is not forwarding their ideology, so it has to go. We got some descriptions of the stuff down here, and then we've got some events planned, and then we get some photos down here at the bottom. There's some girls saying things. This has got to go. It's fucking woke. This has got to go. It's woke. Look at it. It's woke. This is they might be okay with this one. They might let this one sneak by if they think that it's Roman. These have got to go. This art is not helping America, so the conservatives want it gone. This art is not helping. Look, it's a statue of a black person. It's fucking woke. Get out of here. Yeah, this lady is looking nice, but she that might be black hair. You know what I'm saying? Like they might, it depends. So that's going to have to go. What is this? This doesn't glorify America. Look at this. Look at this thing. That's not glorifying America at all. It has got to go. I don't know what that is, but it's not, unless he's holding an American flag, like paint it red, white, and blue, and then maybe they'll allow it. Yeah, what is this? Nobody knows what this even is. Okay. This is not art. Okay. Art has soldiers charging up a field. Art has Jesus and or angels making the world a better place. Conservatives do not like this. They don't want it. They do not accept that this is art. This has got to go. This is not furthering Donald Trump's agenda. This is not helping him win in the next election. This is not helping the conservatives to turn judges. It is frivolous and it needs to be gone. According to them, not me. This is me pretending to be a conservative for a few minutes. Now, I think that art is supposed to make you feel things. If you saw those and you felt anything, then that's the point of art. All art is based on feelings. I've been saying this for years. If you've been following the channel, you know this. But the fascists really want to control your feelings. Every concrete law that they pass is about controlling you. No, you can't get same-sex married. That's degenerate. No, you can't protest the government. That's subversive. The perfect state God Emperor Trump is in charge of cannot be criticized. No, you can't immigrate here. You're not the right ethnicity. No, you can't teach that fact about history. It makes us look bad. Control is their purpose, is their point, and they will control everything so that they are on top. But the moral and ethic fights they pick are about controlling your emotions. No, you can't see that statue. It's about race. And the problems of race don't exist. And if they did, that would suggest that we weren't perfect in the past. We can't allow that. No, you can't listen to rap music. That's degenerate. No, you can't watch the new Disney movie that has a slightly gay-coded person on screen for 9 seconds. That is DEI. No, you can't write a story about the history of race struggles in America because there have never been any race struggles in America. America was founded by Jesus himself perfectly with no problems. And if there are any things that seem like problems, that's your fault and not America's. You must have failed somewhere. You cannot criticize America, and any attempt to do so is degenerate. Yeah, in 1776, Jesus himself came back from the grave to found America. Everybody knows this. All the MAGA faithful know this to be fact. Everyone keeps talking, and if you've been on the internet in the past year or two, you've heard people talking about the book 1984 by George Orwell's 1986. We all know the meme. If you have read it, you'll understand why everybody keeps talking about it. If you haven't, I'm giving you a homework assignment. Yes, Professor Waldo is here to give you a homework assignment. Read 1984. It might be deemed degenerate soon and illegal to read it. So you should read it now. I mean, honestly, they might call that degenerate art and get rid of it and throw it in the memory hole. But that's your homework for now. Read it because it will soon be illegal. The reason I and everyone else on the internet keeps mentioning it is because that's exactly what happens in the book. The art that they don't like gets destroyed. Everything is backward and everything is reversed. The Ministry of Love tortures people in that book. The Ministry of Truth lies constantly. The memory hole is where you put information to be deleted. And the people that want to preserve history are the ones changing it. That is what these executive orders are about. Control. Learning who they can push over. Learning who they can throw away. Learning who they can get rid of without too much of a fuss, so that they can continue to revise the history, change what happened in the past so that they can control the future, which will look like yesterday. It's very complicated. Conservatism is incredibly complicated. It's not easy to be one. You actually have to have really complicated thoughts within your head. You have to be dualistic within your own mind. You have to look backwards, revere the past, ignore the failures of the past, claim that they weren't there. There is no racism in America. It's never been there. Jesus built America in 1776 himself. Doesn't matter that the math doesn't work out. Doesn't matter that the year doesn't make any sense. That's not important. Stop thinking about that. Look to the past as what you want the future to be. They're going to drive a stagecoach into the future. That's one of my favorite terms. I don't even remember where the hell I heard it, but conservatives will drive a stagecoach into the future. Doesn't make any sense. It is very complicated to be one, but they are. Fun fact: 25% of the people who claim to have read 1984 haven't actually read it. I have read it, and I agree with you, Valor. Lots of people have claimed to have read it. I read books all the time. I read them on my Kindle. I got one right here. Yeah, this is my little Kindle book. It's very old. It's I love this guy. This guy is very cool because I take it everywhere with me, and I read. See, look, fact that I read books. See, some people, if anybody claims that I don't read the books, it's right here. So get a Kindle. They're great. They're fantastic for pirates. You just download the file and you throw it on there, and you never put that thing online. I think they're cracking down on that. Amazon might be cracking down on that soon, but I've got one of the old ones, so I'll be all right. So like real life, the Defense Department always on the offense and such. Yeah, exactly. Our Defense Department used to be called the Department of War. They didn't like that title. The Department of War sounds scary, so they changed it to the Department of Defense. A little bit of a Orwellianism right there. I suggest the Kindle because books are heavy. This little device has hundreds of books in it right now, and it's only this big, and it doesn't take much charge. Honestly, I charge it once a week, and it's usually fine every day. So yeah, that's my idea, and you can just get the files. Libraries sometimes let you borrow the files, and then you're supposed to delete them, but like, just don't. I know I'm a horrible nightmare pirate. Maybe I need an eye patch to pop up on screen instead of just the anime hair, but I don't push for anything other than like books and stuff like that. And that's if you can't afford it. If you like a fiction author, you should support them and pay them and buy their book on the online store so that you can download it legally. But for George Orwell, he's dead. Steal 1984. Yeah, I think I'm fucking willing to go that far. Be like, hey, listen, George Orwell, he dead. You can just steal his book. It's okay. It's an important book. Everybody should read it. If the author is dead, steal their book. If the musician is dead, steal their music. I don't care. Get a straw hat, second most famous pirate act. Yeah, you're good call. I could put a straw hat right here instead of the anime hair. So it's a good idea. If we ever talk about piracy, I could just pop it up and be a pirate. What the hell was I talking about? I'm rambling like a lunatic. Yeah, so that was my rant today about the degenerate art that Donnie's very much against. They don't like the art. And so we'll move on to another subject. What other subjects are there? Let's see, Canada. Let's talk about Canada. Completely no segue. No segues. No easing into things. Canada announces bombshell break with the U.S. over Trump. Let's see what the Canadians have to say. The new Canadian Prime Minister announced the two countries' relationship is over. Whoa. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney officially broke things off with the United States Thursday, making a seismic shift in relations between longtime allies. The old relationship we had with the United States based on... Okay, sorry. I gotta try and do a Canadian accent. The old relationship we had with the United States based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation is over. He said, discuss trade options in response to Donald Trump's permanent 25% tariffs on all imported vehicles and auto parts. What exactly the United States does next is unclear, but what is clear is that we as Canadians have agency, we have power, we are masters in our own home. We can control our destiny. We can give ourselves much more than any foreign government, including the United States, can even take away. We can deal with this crisis best by building our own strength right here at home. We will need to dramatically reduce our reliance on the United States We will need to pivot our trade relationships elsewhere, and we will need to do things previously thought impossible at speeds we haven't seen in generations. I don't know if that's a good Canadian accent, but that's the best I've got. I try. So let's see. So yeah, he said all these fun things, and let's see. So yeah, back stateside, the big three automakers took an immediate hit Thursday as market digested Trump's tariff announcement, with new tariffs on vehicles expected to go into effect on April 3rd and on vehicle parts 1 month later. The White House has pretended that its steep tariffs on Canada are a bargaining chip to help curb illegal drug trafficking, a threat so minor that it warranted no mention in the Trump administration's first annual threat assessment. But Trump openly admitted that he hoped to use tariffs to bully Canada and into becoming a U.S. state. His bullying has since escalated into all-out trade war, which could potentially devastate states along America's northern border. Right, because he's an idiot. They need to expand, just like Russia needs to expand. There's a reason Russia is trying to gobble up the old Soviet states, like Ukraine, like Estonia, like Hungary and shit like that. They need forward momentum and war and more product to keep their fascist regime going. Fascism doesn't survive long periods of stability. Doesn't work. You need an enemy. You need a frontier to conquer. This was true about fascist Italy. It was true about Nazi Germany. They needed a frontier to conquer. And so they expand their reach, their global, their empire has to be on the getting bigger, just like Rome, until it collapsed and fell apart. Took 100 years, but it was expanding until it got too big, and then it collapsed and fell apart. Same way for Nazi Germany. Same thing for the fascist Italy. Same way for Russia right now. They need to expand, or else they will collapse. Donald somehow knows this. It's got to be an instinct kind of a thing. I don't think that he read a bunch of textbooks about those places in the past, saw their flaws, and is trying to copy their wins and avoid their flaws. I don't think he's a historian. I doubt he knows where he is most days. But instinctually, he knows we've got to get bigger. We've got to take from other people to continue my power. That is what he's thinking, I think, anyway. And he can't do that if we're not gobbling up other places, other areas. We need to steal Greenland. We need to steal Canada. We need to take the Panama Canal. We need to own Mexico. We need to own all these things to extend our borders, expand our empire so that he can continue to be powerful and gain more power. Because 50 states is nice. Him being in charge of 50 states is good. But if he were in charge of 51 states, he would feel better. And if he were in charge of 52 states, oh, baby, that's even better than 50 states, isn't it? Being in charge of 52 states. Obama was only in charge of 50 states. Idiot. Johnny's going to be in charge of 55 states. Makes him better, obviously. Makes him more powerful. And that, I think, is the baby brain simplistic logic that they have running through their heads all the time. Will everyone in all 50 of those states suffer? Yes. They don't care. It's a sacrifice that needs to be made. You need to sacrifice to improve Johnny's power, to increase his power. Costs, if increasing Donald's power makes people suffer, he's willing to make that sacrifice. And he'll make that choice for you. You know, you don't get that choice. He will make that choice for you. How much you suffer to increase his power is a choice that he's going to make for you. Let's watch a video. Let's watch Elon talk for a few minutes. And maybe something interesting will happen. We'll debate him yeah, you, I know, Valor, I know, I agree. I'm going to turn the TTS on, so feel free to type at me, and the lovely Lady Canooch will read what you've got to say. It'll be a good time. Let's go.
Tonight, we are bringing you part 2 of Brett's exclusive interview with Elon Musk and members of his Doge team. And in this segment, we're going to take a deeper dive into the roles of some key players here.
I don't think these are the members of his Doge team. These are the CEOs of his companies. Big Balls and Turtle and Squee, who actually run the Doge and are inside the Department of Education chopping everything up right now, aren't on the screen because all those 22-year-olds that you heard about aren't on this panel because they're the ones who are actually doing it. And they don't look good on camera, so Elon put a bunch of fake fucking people in charge of it. He put these people in charge of Doge, even though they're not, because he's a fucking liar.
Healthcare entrepreneur Brad Smith at the Health and Human Services Department, engineer Aram Magadasi as a software expert, Cloud Software Group CEO Tom Kraus at the Treasury Department, and Morgan Stanley banker Anthony Armstrong. All very important names. He is at the Office of Personnel Management.
Let's check back on this. There's a lot of money sloshing out the door. We spend as a country about $3 billion a day in interest expense. So it's probably the first thing that got me focused on this and thinking about how do we get to this place? How do we spend more on interest expense than we do on defense, for example? So
we're the biggest country in the world. Well, not the biggest, not the most people, but the biggest fucking economy in the planet.
There's a lot going out the door, but my focus actually while I've been here has been on the agency side and on the workforce side, and how is the federal workforce of 2.3 million civilians, how is it constituted, how does it function? There are 259 discrete departments in the federal government. One of the things we did was we did an ontology of the full federal government using AI and brute force to map out 16,000 boxes on the federal government org chart.
They needed to use AI because they don't know how the government works. This man does not know how the government functions. He doesn't know what those government entities do. He doesn't know why they're there. So he had AI sum it up for him. And he's going to use a chainsaw to chop them
remember
off.
That AI only speaks truth. 3.
It says the robot lady in my ear. Yes, exactly. AI the robots are always correct. And they're going to use a chainsaw to chop these things off.
And then it's how do we get this to be efficient? For example, at the federal government, one of the things we've learned is you've got 4 payroll processors in the federal government. So 2.3 million employees get paid. They get paid through 4 payroll processors. One is in the Department of Interior. One is in the Department of Agriculture. They actually do very good work at this team at the Agriculture Department. But it's at the Agriculture Department. And they serve 76 federal agencies from the Agriculture Department for payroll. Everything from the IRS to the Smithsonian gets paid through the Agriculture Department. So that just doesn't make any sense. There should be...
Sure it does. You just don't know why it was set up that way. If you have a calm, reasonable way to fix it, make that argument. They're not making arguments. This is my problem with Doge. They're not making intelligent arguments. They're chopping things off that they don't understand. I mean, medically speaking, we didn't know a long time ago what the appendix was for. We have a better understanding of the appendix, which is in your stomach, and what it is for. We know kind of why it's there. We don't just chop it out. Tonsils. We used to just chop them out when they got full and swollen because we thought they were the problem. Doctors don't chop out tonsils anymore. They're part of your immune system. When you have an infection, the tonsils are working your immune system, and they're not the problem. Chopping them out harms your immune system. We don't do that anymore. We used to put leeches on people to remove their blood because their humors were out of whack. Doctors in the 1800s didn't believe in germs. Okay? When germ theory got invented, a lot of the doctors hated it. I'm doing what conservatives hate, and that's looking backward, criticizing it so that I can make tomorrow better. That's what this guy is not doing. That's what this guy right here isn't doing. He's seeing the faults of he's not looking at the problems, making a better plan for tomorrow. He's looking at those problems and chopping them the fuck off. He's chopping off the lymph nodes. He's chopping things off without knowing what they are and what they do. This man is akin to a 18th century doctor who doesn't believe in germs and chops your tonsils out because he doesn't know what's going on.
One, you can debate where it should go. You should get the efficiencies of pulling those together. You should get the information that comes from pulling those together. So that's what we're facing on the workforce front. And you made the comment about shooting from the hip, and I want to just talk about that for a moment.
Is this what Critic's saying?
Yeah, it could be further from the truth. So I want to
saying.
talk about what we're doing with these restructuring plans. This is, we literally go in, and we're doing this mostly at nights and over the weekends, with the secretaries of these agencies and their senior staff. And we're going line by line, employee org charts, line by line from the bottom up, talking about every function. Is it duplicative? Yes. Okay. What are we going to do with these 40 communications officers? We don't need 40. How many do we need? How are we going to consolidate them? What's the right team to pull that together? And it is happening at the highest level, and it is line by line.
That's not what the people being laid off are saying. That's not what the people in the management are saying right now.
Line. Box by box on these org charts.
With these secretaries?
Absolutely, the secretaries and their senior staff, and also really importantly, senior career staff. And I've got to say, I think all of us have been, it's been an amazing experience. There are some very, very smart, hardworking people who are career civil servants, and they're involved in these conversations as well to build out these plans for what these organizations should look like.
Build out these plans to get rid of themselves and their people and the people who are doing the hard work.
Working at Treasury, you are having access to the payment system, oversees all the outgoing payments. Essentially, those payments were going places we didn't know where they were going, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case, Brett. We're serving 580 plus agencies. And up until very recently, effectively, they could say, make the payment, and Treasury just sent it out as fast as possible. No verification.
Verification was made by the agency that called for the payment. The Treasury shouldn't be making that decision. The agency says, hey, this person needs the money. Have the Treasury give them the money. You don't need quadruple checks. That would be inefficient.
And so what we're doing is what any household would do. But imagine you're a household, you have a bank account. Everyone has an ATM card connected to that account. Everyone has a checkbook connected to that account. It's not just your children. It's not just your parents. It's your in-laws. It's your extended family. And they all can go to the account and disperse funds. No questions asked. No justification. No verification. And so all we're trying to do is put in basic controls. And then the last thing is really on...
And if they all had to jump through 2 more hoops to get that money, that would be inefficient.
The accounting side of things.
If I told my son to spend some money and then he tried and then had to enter a code and then
Is that how bank accounts work?
Yeah, that's not exactly how bank accounts work. Yeah, exactly. He's trying to make an analogy. Analogies are hard. I dig it. I make analogies all the time. I made one about tonsils just a minute ago, and it is off the top of my head, and it is difficult. But if you have to jump through a whole bunch of extra hoops, the more passwords you have to put in, the more pins you have to put in, the more people have to accept the moving of the money, the less efficient it is. Can you find you have to find a medium point. Anybody being able to take money out of my account would be bad for me, because anybody could just come by. You could walk by, Valor, I know who you would just swing by and grab a couple of dollars. That would be not a good plan. But having 17-step authentication is also inefficient. You have to find the medium point, and I think the government already had that. He just doesn't understand it. He doesn't know it because he doesn't work there.
Today, when a bill is passed, a budget bill, or a continuing resolution as we have right now, that actually does set a budget. It doesn't set a budget for the whole government as a whole. It actually sets it by fund. And so if you think about it, there's actually 11,000 funds across these 580 plus agencies. But today, on a real-time basis, not even a near real-time basis, we cannot account for what's being dispersed by fund.
And the hope is to be able to turn that.
I don't believe him. I think he's lying. I think he's exaggerating. The fund would be decided by each agency. Go to each agency, find their books. The governments keep books and records of fucking everything, man. If he can't find it, it's because he's not looking or he doesn't like the answer. He doesn't like the fact that they spent money on a thing that he doesn't appreciate. I think they are exaggerating this fact. I think they are over-exaggerating the lost money that cannot be accounted for.
Where you could see it.
Turn that so we can see it, and we're very close to producing that. And why is that important? Well, by law, these agencies at the fund level are not allowed to spend more than their budget. But if you don't have the information and you don't track it, how do you know?
And arm the technical.
I suspect that it is being tracked, and he is wrong or can't find it yet. There are things that are hidden from the regular public, like the Pentagon and stuff like that. They can't pass their audits, I know, but that's because they are hiding that stuff in projects that you're not supposed to know about. So anything outside the Pentagon, I would suspect, is keeping track of this money. And if they aren't, make a plan for better paperwork. These guys aren't going to make a plan for better paperwork. They're going to make a plan to chop things off. Instead of understanding how this arm of the government works, we're going to chop the arm off.
Side of moving these computers to new age, I mean, it's a challenge, right?
Absolutely. And one thing I'll say is that almost every longtime government employee that I've met is incredibly excited about taking a serious look at the fraud. They have seen it firsthand for many years. And
these guys haven't proven any fraud yet. I haven't seen evidence of any fucking fraud from anyone yet. The Doge has produced no evidence of fraud.
See this as kind of an opportunity to use technology to address $500 billion a year of fraud. I think that on the modernization side, it might actually surprise people how basic the improvements we're making are.
Yeah, this is really, like, we can't emphasize this enough. What I'm saying is, like, the things we're talking about are so basic that the federal government can't pass an audit. It doesn't know where the money's going. Like,
they can pass an audit. You just don't like the fucking answer that they've given you. The answer is, we gave this money to this organization and this organization spent it. You don't fucking like it. The not being able to pass an audit just means that we can't put a solid paperwork trail together for every single dollar. Fine. Give them less money. Put together a plan, Elon, for passing an audit. You're not going to do that. You're not going to put together a more intense paperwork scrutiny to make the people pass an audit. No, you're going to chop things off. You don't know where it went, so you're killing it.
so what we're talking about is just like being able to pass an audit. It will enable taxpayers to know where the money is going and know that their hard-earned tax dollars are being spent well.
But the biggest pot is either in Social Security or, I guess, Medicare and Medicaid, right?
Yeah, but I can speak to Medicare and Medicaid a little bit. We're 100% committed to protecting Medicare and Medicaid. But
I don't believe him. I suspect that he is lying. He does not want to protect Medicare and Medicaid. He wants to privatize them so that he can get a fucking cut. That is what these guys want. They want Medicare and Medicaid to fail so that Elon can run new
lies.
Medicaid, new Medicare, where you give him the money, he keeps it in his bank account, then skims from it and puts it on the stock market so that he can get more money, and then gives you some of it. The reason I would trust the government more is because they're not trying to run a profit.
Subscription-based medical care.
Subscription, yeah, absolutely. They want profit. This man right here that you're looking at, I don't know him, but he wants to take your money and keep some of it and then give you a product, and he keeps the profit. That's what he wants. Whether it's a new iPhone or a new AI bot or Twitter or health care, he wants you to pay him. He gives you some of the health care and keeps the profit.
at the same time, the Government Accountability Office, GAO, has said there's $84 billion a year in improper payments. And so how does that happen?
$84 billion in improper payments doesn't mean fraud. It just means they made a mistake somewhere in the dollar amount. One of the people got, somebody on Medicare or Medicaid got too much, and then they take it back later. Or they don't pay them as much the next time.
Just give you a couple of examples. So one, we're finding there's actually an article in the Wall Street Journal about this, that there's individuals who are getting paid, or the health plans are getting paid in 2 separate states for the same individual. So New York pays for somebody's Medicaid and Connecticut pays for somebody's Medicaid. And you say, how could that possibly happen? And the reason is they have individual data systems. They run their programs separately. The federal government kind of sort of collects the data, but does not put it together to identify those opportunities. So that's a really concrete example of we're paying twice when we don't need to be paying twice.
Then make a system that works better. But they won't. They'll kill the system. The system is sick, kill it. Not make it better, not improve it, not put together a complex and intelligent plan that will make it more and more reasonable and can avoid things like this. They're going to murder it.
Once won't affect anybody's health care, but it'll save us half the money.
In our final installment of our Spotlight on the Department of Government Efficiency, Brett speaks one-on-one with Elon Musk about what issues keep him up at night, the scrutiny he is facing, his involvement in politics outside of Doge, and whether or not he thinks his work with the department can have lasting effects.
This is the good one where he almost cries, I think.
Here's Keith on X says, executive actions can be undone with the next president. What is the team doing to ensure the government waste and overregulation is permanently reduced?
They have found no government waste. Well, arguably, he might argue that they have found waste. He doesn't like USAID, so it's wasteful in his opinion. Waste is a opinionated word. Overregulation is permanently reduced. Regulation saves lives. Every reduction in regulation is paid for in blood.
I assume you're working with Congress. That's part of it, but...
Yeah, we certainly would like a lot of what we're doing to be permanently enshrined in law. But a lot of the changes we're making are very basic things that I think are likely to remain in place, such as the improvements to the Treasury financial system to have a better understanding of how and why payments are made. So the fact that payments now must have a payment code that corresponds to a congressional appropriation and must have an explanation for the payment and someone to call to ask about the payment. So we made those changes to the system. They weren't there before. I think those changes will remain.
Possibly because it wasn't necessary. Those are 3 little hurdles into paying anything. That's not efficiency. It's redundancy.
So all these changes that we're doing, like the one I just mentioned, will enable the government to actually pass an audit. It's at such a basic level that you have to stand back and recalibrate just how bad things can be, because you think it can't possibly be that bad, and it is. It basically blow your mind. There's no way that any commercial company could possibly survive if it operated like the federal government.
Because the federal government isn't trying to turn a profit. They're trying to help the American people. They're trying to help the citizens. And if they accidentally help a citizen too much, who cares?
You're involved in politics. You were big in the election, obviously in Pennsylvania. Now, I guess you're in the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. Why plug in?
Well, the Democrats are trying to redraw the districts in Wisconsin, and we're trying to stop.
And it's his job to redraw the districts in Wisconsin. Damn it.
The Democrats from gerrymandering Wisconsin to remove 2 House seats.
And it's their job to gerrymander the map in Wisconsin. Fuckers.
That's what this whole Supreme Court justice case is about. So I really want to emphasize people out there, if you're in Wisconsin, go out and vote. You can do early voting for the Supreme Court. If you have friends and family in Wisconsin, please urge them to vote for Brad Schimel. If we don't, we could lose control of the House, and all of the government reforms could be shut down.
Gerrymandering is a Democrat move now? Okay, good to know. Bluha's one note say.
Yeah, exactly. Do the Democrats gerrymander? Yes. Do I trust them to do it more along the lines of fairness? Yes, I really do. The Republicans gerrymander along racial lines. They always have. That's why there are so many fewer people within the red districts, because they have chopped out all the people who aren't going to vote for them, and they've created red-only districts. If you measure the number of people who are in blue districts versus the people in red districts, there are fewer people in the red districts, but they're in charge of the government most of the time because of their gerrymandering.
Thing for you that keeps you up at night?
Well, there's a lot of things, I suppose, that I worry about, and some of these things will seem esoteric to people. the birth rate is very low in
He means the birth rate of white people.
almost every country. And it's something, unless that changes, civilization will disappear. America had the
He means white civilization.
lowest birth rate, I believe, ever. That was last year. Places like Korea, the birth rate is 1/3 replacement rate. So that means in 3 generations, Korea will be 3 or 4% of its current size. And nothing seems to be turning that around. Humanity is dying.
He means white humanity.
And people, it's just not something we evolved to react to. And I worry generally about the strength of America. America is the central column that holds up all of Western civilization. So if you like,
He means white civilization.
if we've got the temple of Western civilization, America is the central column. If that column fails, it's all over. You can't run off to New Zealand or some other place. It's over. So either we strengthen that column and make sure America is strong and will be strong for a long time, or that roof's coming down.
I think we got into detail today about what you all are doing and maybe demystified some of that. For the people who look at you in your business sense about SpaceX or Starlink, can you tell them specifically there's not a conflict of interest in how you're doing it, what you're doing, and the contracts that you're getting with the government?
Everything I do is under extreme scrutiny.
Every day.
Yeah.
Extreme scrutiny. But do you have any consequences? I don't think you do. I think you break the law willy-nilly anytime you want, and there is nothing stopping you under intense scrutiny from the people on TV. They can't stop you. Fucking judges can't even stop you. Goddamn fucking, they're telling you the things that you're doing is illegal, and you're like, meh, it's cool. I could handle scrutiny if I got to break all the laws.
There's not an action I can take that doesn't get scrutiny 6 ways to Sunday.
And this upsets him. It hurts his feelings when you tell him he is a liar and a fascist and a Nazi, no matter how much it seems to be true.
Every action that the Doge team does is public. We put it on the website. It's the most amount of transparency there's been about any government thing ever.
Lying to people is not transparency. Say, if I look into this camera right now and tell you that I am, in fact, Mr. Fred Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I live on 123 Elm Street. I hang out with Daniel Tiger and the King, whatever his name was. And won't you be my neighbor? I am Mr. Rogers.
Aloha's one gasp.
I'm just being transparent with you. I'm looking into the camera and telling you, my name is Fred Rogers, and I want you to come be my neighbor in my neighborhood. See how transparent I'm being right now? I'm being so transparent. Sorry, my chair's broken, and it slowly lowers itself, as I said in it. I'm being transparent. That's what the Doge team is doing. They're just being transparent by putting lies onto a website and telling you they're true. That's not transparency, Elon. Half of the people who then look at the things you
like
put up.
Like a glass wall, with a regular wall hiding an XD.
Yeah, they put the receipts up on the website, and then reporters look at the receipts, they weigh those receipts, and then they measure them, and they double check that they are true. And they're finding out that it's not true, that it's not fraud, that you're counting things wrong, your arithmetic is incorrect. That's not transparency. Telling you that I have 100 million followers on YouTube is not transparency. You could, in fact, go to my YouTube page and see that it isn't true. It's not transparency. It's a lie. And that's what Doge is doing. They're lying their asses off.
It would be, even if I wanted to, I couldn't get away with it. In fact, it's actually disadvantageous for me to be in the government, not advantageous.
You guys, he's giving up all this power to be in the government, to own the presidency, to buy the judges that are going to agree with him, to buy the senators that are going to do what he tells them to, and own the president. He's really, if you don't think about it, it makes a lot of sense. He's really giving up a lot of the power and freedom that he had as a trillionaire businessman who owns the largest communication device in human history. He really is giving up a lot of his freedom, to own the entire United States government and become immune to all crime.
If I wasn't in the government, I could lobby, and I could push for things that are advantageous to my companies, and probably get it, probably receive them.
He could lobby. He could promise them money. If he wasn't in the government, he could promise them money to get what he wants. But now that he's in the government, he just does whatever the hell he wants. It's insane. This duality, this absolute horseshit that he is peddling. There are people who are going to believe these words.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
My companies are suffering because I'm in the government. You just pointed.
Your companies are suffering because you're a fucking fascist and the people aren't happy with it. Your companies are suffering because you are hurting America. You are hurting the people. You are hurting my people. And I'm upset with that, Elon. You are harming my country. Stop doing it. And I will stop screaming at you.
Your companies are suffering because they are yours. 3.
Because of his actions. He doesn't want his companies that he owns and brags about to be harmed by the actions he takes and the harm he causes to America. He thinks that's unfair.
Pointed that out a moment ago.
Right.
Do you think it helps sales if dealerships are being firebombed? Of course not. And Tesla customers are being intimidated all over the country and all over Europe. Mm-hmm. Does that help Tesla? I mean, you had Tim Waltz, who's a huge jerk, running around on stage with the Tesla stock price where the stock price had gone in half, and he was overjoyed. What an evil thing to do.
I am also overjoyed, Elon. When fascists fail, I celebrate. When Nazis fall, I cheer. Elon, you are both of those things. And that is why Tim Walz and me cheer when you fail. It's very simple.
What a creep. What a jerk. Like, who derives joy from that? And
I do.
It was pointed out to him that actually, Minnesota State Pension Fund is a major investor in Tesla. But he didn't care. He was so overjoyed by Tesla stock going half. So that's not like.
Then they need to divest from that. Invest in a non-Nazi company. Invest in a non-fascist company.
A good person to you? I don't think so.
He's a damn hero, and you're the villain.
Then we didn't have cell phones, then we got them, then we got the Apple phone, and all the technology that I've just seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
The fact that we are where we are, if you're talking to an audience, where are we in 5 years? Where are we in 10 years?
AI is probably what he's going to say.
I do think there's the potential for a great future, as long as America remains the land of freedom and opportunity.
He means white people.
So freedom means that the government does not infringe upon your personal liberties, that you can do what you want as long as it doesn't harm another person.
Does this guy know that Mahmoud got picked up for the words that he said? That those personal liberties are taken away from the students who are here on green cards, here legally? He's on a green card, right? Elon has a green card. Can we deport him for the words he said? He would say that's unacceptable.
Land of opportunity means that you succeed on the basis of your merits.
Why are we
on
asking
how hard
him?
You work.
I don't think this question has ever been asked of an actual president, let alone a fake blackmail one. XD.
Right, yeah. Like, what's going to happen in 5 years? Well, we kind of ask politicians that. Hey, what do you see for the future?
And how good you are at your job. Those fundamental principles are what will ensure a great future. And that's what President Trump is committed to doing. That's what the Doge team is committed to doing. And if we succeed, I think we'll have a wonderful future.
For white
Elon,
people.
we really appreciate the time. And
I am harping on that, but I do think that he is an ethno-nationalist. He when he complains about the populations. He's not talking about everybody. He's just talking about the white people. He doesn't like the fact that
You're really good at reading his mind, XD.
maybe I am. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't read his, I'm just weighing the choices he's made and the words he's saying. Am I reading his mind? Maybe. I look at the actions he's taken, I weigh them, and I think, what is the end goal of chopping off all of these government agencies? It's so that another company can take over. So if they want to kill the post office, the federal post office, because they want a company to do it, and he wants to own it.
There's really zero reason to talk about that shit unless you're seeing civilization as a zero-sum competition via racism.
Exactly. He wants profit. His profit motive is what you're pointing kind of towards. He wants to own the post office so that he can skim from it. He wants to own schools so that he can skim from them. Yes, the people will continue to pay taxes into school education, but he owns it. And he skims some profit for himself, and the rest he gives to the schools to push his message. The post office, same way. He wants to own the post office. All the people still pay taxes into his bank account to pay for the post office.
Did you see Elon's daughter on Hassan's channel yesterday?
That popped up in my thing, in my YouTube feed this morning. I have not watched it yet. Was it fun and interesting? I might watch it later, but I haven't seen it myself yet. But yeah, I think that it is interesting that he has only sons. I think there's a conspiracy theory about that too. I'll put my hat on. The conspiracy theory is that he doesn't have those babies naturally. They're all inseminated into the artificially inseminated into the women, and then they're gene edited to be male. Because I don't know if that's a conspiracy theory. That's why I put the hat on. That's how you know that I'm talking out my ass. That he has them mRNA adjusted.
It's worth watching. His daughter has disowned him.
Right, because she doesn't like him. Yeah, it makes sense that I wouldn't you wouldn't let him fuck you. Yeah, I know. But maybe they're being gene edited to all be boys because he only has boys, except for this one trans daughter. So it is disturbing. It is strange. Like 14, dude. I have one boy. You know, I've known people with 2 or 3 boys, but then they get a girl eventually. Like 14 seems kind of weird, and I know it is conspiracy theory, and it does seem weird. And if you've watched the latest ContraPoints video, all conspiracy theories start with, doesn't it seem weird? And I totally recognize that's what I'm doing here. That's what I'm doing right now. Doesn't it seem weird that he has like 14 kids and they're all male? What are the odds of that? What are the statistical odds of that? I'm willing to bet.
3 boys and our parents gave up after that. Didn't want to risk another one XD.
Entirely acceptable. But I think if they had gotten to 14, they might have had a girl. That's what I'm guessing anyway. I think the odds of 3 boys is rare, but possible. 14? That's fucking weird, right? And that's why it's a conspiracy theory. So, yes, I'm upset with Elon Musk. I am cheering when he fails. I think he is a bad guy doing bad things for fascist reasons. I think he is an ethno-nationalist. I think he is a white supremacist, and I don't want him to succeed. I want him to fail. And yeah, you're right. What you see is the 14 by random chance, one of them's going to have to be a girl and one of them's going to have to be trans. But what if that started out as a girl, and then they did the gene editing? I don't know if this is true. I'm talking out my ass again. Of course, they would transition to be a woman, obviously. I don't know what effect gene editing has on fetuses and stuff like that. That is breaking science. That is brand new shit. That I'm not a doctor, not since the incident anyway, and I'm legally not allowed to talk about the incident, so I am not a doctor. And so I'm just talking out my ass here. If you used gene editing to change the sex of a fetus, would they be more likely to transition later? I mean, that sounds like a fucking hypothesis. It sounds like a thing that could and would happen, doesn't it? You messed with the fetus, and then later when they become an adult, they're like, hey, I would like to be the thing that I was supposed to be. It's complicated.
No previous medical expertise as far as y'all know.
As far as you know, I have no medical expertise. It's true. So yeah, that is the stream today. I appreciate everybody who was here. Thanks for coming in. If you have things to talk about, you can do so at the Discord. Bam.
Discord.
There's the Discord. Go on over there. Hop into the chat. Tell us what you're thinking. Tell us what you're feeling. Leave some links and I'll bring them up on screen and we can all field them out together. Or you can go in there and look at the Bobo pictures. There are semi-regular photos of Bobo in that Discord. And you can see him. And he's delightful. He's just the star of the show. I should probably just take photos of him all day. I'll get more viewers, honestly, than politics. Today is Saturday, so I'll turn all of this into some videos. If you missed anything, you can go on over to the YouTube link and watch old videos. Watch the things that I type up. Watch all of these live on the live tab if you want the pure, unadulterated, raw Waldo. You can do that. Or you can watch the shortened versions about individual subjects that I put up on YouTube. Then I think that's it for me today. Today is Saturday, so I will be back on Wednesday unless the Gestapo kicks in my door and drags me off to the gulag, which might happen. That's seeming more and more and more likely every single day, I suppose. I'm looking to see if there's anybody I could raid that is friends with me, but I don't love the thing that I've got here. I don't know who anybody is. I might just pick one at random. We're going to hit that button. And I'm raiding people at random, just at random.
Thanks for another great one. Bices, lovelies. Master 2002 Sharkwave Master 2002 Shark A Love.